you been up to all the kids? Everyone.
Maniacs, mate. Yeah.
Harry's got a kid as well now.
Have you?
Yeah, he just turned 1. Yeah.
Right on, dude.
Bit mental, isn't
it? Yeah, very much so.
More mental for Stuey.
You got twins?
Yeah, twins, man. They're nearly 2.5 now, which I think is like full mental bit in terms of their like just being maniacs, you know what I mean? But it's good to see. It's good to see. But like Mel's got a full-time job because all my stuff went up the Swanee, so she's like got an office job from working out of our basement, and I'm looking after the kids full time, which is like a bit of a shock to the system.
Yeah, especially with 2 of them, mate. It must be.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't built for it. Like, properly.
Yeah, when I met you that day, I just seeing like one run in one direction and then the other going the other one, you were just like, fucking help me.
Yeah, it's still the same. It's just now they go even faster.
Yeah, I reckon another year, mate, and it might get a bit easier for you.
Yeah, they haven't. Yeah, I think they just need to stop. When I say stop, that'd help. That'd be like a start.
Yeah, the discipline in it.
But yeah, it's all good. I've opened a little record shop here in Margate.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I'm doing that like 3 afternoons a week, which is kind of keeping me sane.
That's cool.
You had any of the Libertines in it?
I haven't. Do you know what? I've seen Peter around a couple of times, and I've bumped into Carl a couple of times, but generally, I don't think they're going to come into my record shop to buy my miscellaneous Balearic music.
I was going to say, where did you start with that? Have you just what you selling?
Yeah, there's like this little indoor. I call it an indoor market. I guess they'd call it like a space or whatever. But there's like 10 pitches in there. Like everyone's selling something different. So it's only like 3 meters by 3 meters. It's tiny.
Yeah.
So I've got like 200 records in there, but I just thought I'd turn my record collection into a shop. I think it'd be quite a cool thing to do, like long term.
Yeah.
Make it into like something really good. But it's just weird times, man. There's like no one out on the street at all. No one coming in. Just the ghost town,
Yeah.
But it's I've met some really cool people and local people who run record labels and stocking, like, it's just meeting people in it,
Yeah, that's well good, that.
Yeah.
People still buy records as well, don't they? Which I'm not.
Yeah, they love it, mate. They love it. It's funny when I get someone I can tell when I've got someone come in the shop who really loves records, because they get that look in their eyes like girls get with jewelry, where they're like, I have to have some of this kind of look.
Yeah.
So you just got to cash in on those people, really. But
and then you just start filling them with shit.
Then I turn on the charm. It's hard to turn on the charm when you've got a mask on there.
You're like, yeah.
It's honestly, man, it's a real conversational boner killer, these masks. I can't work my magic.
You're like, yeah, that's rare. That is. The only one in the world.
I suppose it does cover my mouth. It does cover my face laughing.
Yeah.
But it's like, it takes me back to it's funny because it makes me think of like back in the Camden days, market trader, gone full circle.
Yeah, no.
What shop did you have? A clothes shop there? I remember that.
Oh yeah,
military, wasn't it?
Yeah, that little clothes shop that was basically just an after hours, after the Hawley party pad.
That's the only time I went was after the Adam Green gig. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was no toilet in there, so in the morning, like, everyone would just piss into empty tins of beer, and there would just be like tens and tens, and of course some would get kicked over. So it was just like a swampy piss shop, basically.
Okay, I remember it was on the corner, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was good fun. But I mean, that was actually good fun. I mean, what I did for was the army shop, wasn't it? Before that, I was freezing every day.
Yeah, I used to like that army shop though. It was good.
I mean, I think we like that army shop clothed the Paddingtons for about the first 3 years of your
It
band.
did, didn't it? It used to just walk in there and be like, Stuart, come on, sort it out.
Yeah, it was like cheap as chips back then as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good.
Oh, I love this beer.
Where's
Now then, Lloyd.
Oh mate, that's Barocca you're drinking. Are you off the?
Mate, this is cheap lager.
Straight in there, Stuart. What did he say?
Lloyd, spill a bit of beer.
Okay, still a bit on my work laptop.
What are you drinking?
I'm all sorts. I've been on a piss all day. My last day of work.
Right on.
Yeah, craft beer and all sorts. Where's fucking Marv?
He's
Yeah,
not
what's going
replying.
on?
Well, what's going on there?
We've got Stuart anyway. It's better than Mav.
Sorry. I was ready on Saturday. Was you waiting for me?
Yeah, but we're just chatting, dude.
Oh fuck! Well, to be fair, that would have been the best part. Good, Stuey.
All right, Marv, you look fucking resplendent, man.
Oh, you're real distinguished.
I've long said a man who can grow a moustache like that has an obligation to.
Very we are scientists.
Yeah, yeah, very
I think
weird.
it's probably about ready for a twist, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very Feed Marshal Haig. God, the Flanders pigeon murderer. Sure, you'll know that what I'm on about.
That's an excellent reference, Lloyd.
Yes, mate. Yes. Right, so let's not just start yet because I just need to get another drink, and then we'll start. Shall we, Matt? Shall we, Harry?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, whatever.
Did you get your Bullners, your Baileys, Harry?
Yeah, mate. Got it. Yeah.
Good. Oh, that's.
It's not a shady
Well,
deal,
it's-
that, Harry.
It's Irish cream from Aldi, so
Oh, that is a shady deal.
it's about £9.
I've been struggling all day with a Dalwhinnie whiskey hangover. I only had about 3. Like fucking existential crisis stuff. Can we make this about existential crisis hangovers? Stewie, you know about them.
Dude, I've got my fucking certificate in those.
Yeah, man, that's why you stopped. But I'm impressed that you're boozing there. Well,
Mate,
done.
I mean, there's no way I could cope with life without booze.
I know you had a good run of it.
I did for a bit, and
Yeah.
I've just given into it. I'm like, do you know what? If booze is what makes me feel better at the end of the day, I'm just going to drink it and not give a shit.
That's good. Don't anyone tell him about heroin.
No, don't tell him about that. So, Atkin, you're on a bit of a dry spot, aren't you, good lad?
Yeah, I am.
Good.
Sober today, boys. Unfortunately for you lot.
No, it's all right, mate. Just
Are you sat in a robe, Tom?
I've just got a hoodie on.
You look like you're
I'm
at
back in a
some.
minute, guys.
You look like you're in fucking rehab.
I think he is.
Look like I'm at a spa, don't I?
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
With my Christmas lights in the background and shit.
Yeah, it's very nice. Are you at home?
I'm at my mum's house, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
No, I'm just saying, like we're due to get hammered together, aren't we?
Yeah, I miss it, like, I think there's something in it, the whole getting wrecked thing. Like, there's like I was trying to get into the philosophy of getting wrecked. And I think there is one, do you know what I mean? Like, there's obviously a price to pay physically and emotionally. But what I was getting into is like the trade-off between what you gain and then what you lose. And I think what you gain in camaraderie far outweighs what you lose in like sanity.
Oh yeah, like the stories and the bonding.
Like the best conversations I've ever had have been in a toilet cubicle at 5 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you do those reunion gigs sober then, Stuey?
Nah.
Right.
Did he?
I don't think I
he
did.
tried to.
I don't think I did.
Nah, he tried to.
I did Josh's Skaters tour sober. I don't think I ever did anything Paddingtons based sober.
When we did that first reunion, I'd done 6 weeks sober, which is like fucking long time for me. Maybe the longest ever since I was 16 or whatever. But it was when we got into the room to do the rehearsals, and it was like, "Hey guys." It was like having your first drink, your first cig, your first boot, and losing your virginity, and realizing you can play guitar all at once, like in one moment.
Them
'Cause
rehearsals were hilarious.
if you don't do something for a long time, even though you know what it is, when you go back to it, it's like doing it for the first time, you know.
Yeah, and the rehearsals are better than playing the show as well.
Well, there's no heat in the rehearsals, is there? It's just fucking.
Well, there
madness.
wasn't that one.
What?
That wasn't that one that you're talking about. There was like 20 people who all showed up for like. No one had played the songs in ages, and everyone stood there.
Yeah.
Oh, was that
And
the gig? Like the gig we did in the room?
Yeah.
That was ace. That was like we hadn't. So when was that? Just before the first Humber Street sesh? 2000.
Yeah, when we did the first, like when we first got back together to do that.
When Tom Atkins turned up dressed up as Billy Idol. What was all that about? You came in with this fucking like white hair.
Yeah, I bleached my hair.
Yeah, it was good because we invited a load of people down into the room. It was good.
Yeah, they came in force.
Yeah, I think we were putting on an 80s night at Adelphi at the same time.
Oh, would you?
So I can come to that. Yeah.
Good eras.
Didn't you go in? I went in.
I think I did.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that.
Anyway, are we started? We hadn't started, have we?
No, we're only half an hour in, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right, Harry, though. We're on holiday. Come on. Give me another minute. Are you away?
I'm not going far. You
It's
can
the
imagine.
tour bus all over again, Lloyd.
You dude?
It's the tour bus all over again. It's either a packet of crisps or a piss with you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Fucking.
If you're gonna piss into this.
Obviously, want to get into that second album eventually, but obviously got Stuee here, so it makes sense to start, Marv, on what happened on that fateful night at Attic. Can you tell us much about that?
I see. The reason why we managed to actually, it was a very strategic recruitment tactic, because we really wanted Stuee in the band, but I happened to be playing guitar in the band, so it was going to take a severe injury for us to actually get him involved.
What happened to your hand then?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can still see it. It's that.
I was expecting the scar on the hand of the guy, the Nazi from Raiders Lost Ark then. But,
Yeah.
I was there though.
I was with Tom, and basically,
I was stood next to you, wasn't I?
Yeah, I got blood on Tom's Dior suit, which Hedy Slimane had very kindly given to him. But basically, I thought it was a good idea to smash a pint glass into a wall and then proceed to press it through until it came out the back of my hand. I didn't think anything of this at the time, but I went for a piss, and someone came in the toilet and they were like, "What?" It looked like someone had been shot, basically. So I ended up going to hospital. Had to have plastic surgery on my hand. I think I was arguing with a girl.
You was, Marv. I mean, to be more succinct, you went to hospital. We all went back to our house and we had a little party. Then you turned up at our house, all strapped up, and it was an indie nightclub, Attic. What it was, Tuesday night or whatever. And he came back and all strapped up. But we was about to fucking go on tour. No, we was about to go do a gig in Paris and then go on tour. So it was a bit like, hang on, what the fuck we're going to do here? Because what is it? You got them two fingers. Oh, sorry. So your pinky and the one next to it are still a bit fucked now, aren't they? It was tendon.
Yeah, it's like, so what I did was I sliced through like the nerves, just split between your fingers basically. So I went right through it, which wasn't very clever, but it also really like sabotaged what we were doing at the time as well.
It was days.
Under the circumstances, apart from the fact that actually that we knew Stu. So,
but I mean, it was a no-brainer really with Stu. And before we introduced La Plage, because like we was all sat there going, what the fuck we're going to do? We've got to do this gig in France in about a day or something. And then we've got this full UK tour. And it was a single tour. It might not have been the Panic Attack. It was maybe 52. I can't remember. It was a single tour, like 30 days. Because I remember the Welly gig was in it. We'll come to that in a minute. So it's like, what the fuck we're going to do? But do you know, I don't know if the last podcast we talked about some of them pop tones bands. So there was like the younger bands. This is not to emphasise you're older than us, Stuey, by the way. But there was like, I don't know, us, the Unstrung, Special Needs and stuff. We was like younger, but there was Kill City was on the label with Lisa Morris's band with Welsh Pete and what was his name? The guitarist who used to wear the cool jumpers with the red hair.
Well, he's called Rich.
Rich, yeah, of course.
Legend.
He played the 3-3-5 fucking guitar. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Stuey was in that band, and when we used to do them gigs, and it was like the Rhythm Factories and all that lot, we fucking fell in love with all that band. To be honest, Welsh Pete for whatever reason, Rich the quiet one. On he was quiet, and you had to get him in the corner and chat to him. But Stuey was kind of like the voice piece of that band with us lot anyway. And Welsh Pete was a lunatic, but in a good way. So we was like, well, he'll do it. Of course he'll fucking do it. And we asked him to do it while Marv's getting better. In fact, it happened that quick. Marv, there was a picture of Marv with a drip in his arm, stood outside a Castle Hill Hospital, smoking a fag in the NME. and I remember we rang Stuey saying, we're going to put you in the NME as you're the replacement from Kill City. What's your name? And he went, Stuey Laplage. And was like, what the fuck's he on about? But anyway, so he was like,
Laplage was born.
It was Marv's story about what he'd done in his night, not into the detail Marv just given, by the way, but it was his story. And Johnny Hopkins, the press officer, got us in it was a fucking top bit of the NME on the top page, picture of Marv and all that lot. And Stuey came down, and I remember we're driving to Paris, and literally Stewie's got the headphones on. And he'll tell us, you liked us, you was mates of us, but he was listening to it and learning it on the way to the fucking gig.
Yeah. Yeah, it happened quick. And I was like listening to it going, how many fucking guitars has Owen Morris put on this bastard recording? I was like, what's going on here? And, half trying to get Marv to show me some stuff, half trying to figure it out myself. And then, I just remember it happened literally within 2 days. So one day I was working on the army stall in Camden, freezing my ass off, selling Ben Sherman shirts to tourists. And I remember when Josh called me and he was like, Marv's at his hand. Do you want to come and do tour with us? And I was literally like, drop the phone, see you later, losers. Literally legged it out. And the next thing I know, I'm having my nipples photographed by Hedy Slimane in Paris, like having no idea what's going on this guitar. But I think you could get away with it if you just give it the Barry McGuigan, do you know what I mean, in the pads. Yeah, it was like, if you're there or thereabouts chord-wise, that'll do.
Yeah. Fucking hell. I listened to just recently the HMV gig. It was that tour, so whatever was promoting then. And you can get it online, and it's like a fucking it's not a very good mix, but
that's horrible.
Yeah, everything. I mean, you're probably the best one on it. It's fucking all over. But I remember that gig. Load of people came to the Oxford Street HMV. It was rammed. Fucking brilliant. We was loving it. Do you know what I mean? But it was just it came at that time. I mean, it didn't. Marv was back the tour after, pretty much. I mean, I remember Marv came on. Didn't you came on tour with us for we had to send Marv home that tour.
Oh yeah, I was allowed on the tours because. I was allowed on the tour. I got on the bus, but when it was gigs, I was like, I just came along for the ride. Do you know what I mean? But then it was like, costings say that you're not allowed to go to this gig, Marv. You actually have to stay at home. And I was like, literally sat there like, oh man, I really did fuck it up, which is true. But
you got sent home because you was basic. I remember you saying,
I had nothing to do as well though. When I was there, it
would have been nice for you. It can't be nice for you. It was Ace Stewie's our mate and fucking legendary, but it can't be nice to watch us playing. And you used to play that Molly's Lips together though.
Yeah,
I remember that.
There's a couple of songs he used to do together.
But I remember you said to somebody, it was like, it's fucking probably a bit on PC me saying this, but something along the lines of, it's like watching somebody shag my bed or something like that. And he was like, well, of course.
Yeah, it was like when it's your band and your, your fucking, your chords, your guitar parts, all that. It's like I guess I did put it exactly like that. It's like watching someone fuck your bed. It's a bit like out of body experience to be stood there going, I messed up that bad. That guy is doing my job for me. But like the progress of my thought process after that would be, I would if anyone was going to fuck my bed, I'd choose Stuey.
Good looking
I'm a
guy.
kind and gentle lover, Marv.
Yeah.
You are so sensitive.
You're so sensitive to those horrible.
I think that do you know what? You know, from my point, it was the fact that we were such good friends going into that. I think meant everything at that time. It's like if we didn't have the personal connection before that, I think it would have been quite difficult for whoever was coming in, because the Paddingtons was such a gang. It's like such a strong family, and you felt that, and I felt that because I got friends with you essentially because I was just a fan, and I used to even go on my own to your gigs when you used to play at the Rhythm Factory, and I used to stand at the back like sort of muttering under my breath. These fucking kids are so good, but just like loving the gigs. And then through that, and I was like, I remember even our fashion was like really similar. Like we was and I just remember like we got friends and it was like, fuck, we sort of look the same. It always felt like I was a simultaneous big brother and little brother in some ways, but sort of fitted in. And like the fact that like, me and Marv had such a good relationship at the time. It was always like, listen, I'm just holding the fort for you here. But
yeah, the thing about the entire thing is like actually quite a sweet story. Like the reason why I was in a mess was because I was like that's a difficult thing, and people do get in a mess. And to have someone who like being with Stu, we're mates. All of the things that happened, it makes it's a brilliant story. Like I love playing guitar with that kid. If he's gonna play guitar on my behalf to save my band so we can keep touring, a beautiful thing, like really good. And for us to do a reunion and then get us all 3 guitars on stage, absolutely fantastic. The funniest part to me is me and Stuey are that alike. Me and Stuey play guitar, like we have a very similar guitar style. I think I have a bit more of a like hard style with regards to like chords and stuff. Stuey is actually a bit more virtuoso than I am. But when Stu was in the band, people didn't know the fucking difference.
He even brought that red double cutaway sort of Les Junior thing. Do you remember? I think Boo lent you it. Our mate Boo.
Yeah. Because I needed a guitar that was a bit more Paddingtons.
And you fucking brought that, because then you wouldn't have brought the one with the Bigsby on it with all the sexy fucking pickups. That we was like, what the fuck? You had like a pickup like matched your rings. I thought, what?
Yeah.
Very, very Camden, Stuart.
I was a bit of a coxman back then. Yeah. I actually got the pickup to match my sovereign ring. I'll have you know.
That was it. Hey, I want to add side note. I'm the king of the side note. I was thinking of you today, Stu, as well, because Stuee Bevan introduced me to three things. One's Dinosaur Jr., which
I was going to say
we love that,
Jr.
We love Dinosaur Jr.
Right.
One was halloumi. Do you remember pan frying me halloumi at that party?
Yeah, I do.
At the bottom of Abby's house, and then the other thing,
house, yeah.
Magners on ice.
No, those are the 3 good things in life.
Yeah.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
I thought you were going to say avocado.
No. I'm all over avocado now, but that would have been a bridge too far.
Bridge too far.
Back then, it would have been.
I remember the first time I jumped in. I think when we first like bonded proper is when, and this sort of makes me laugh inside a bit. But I remember you saying about the Pop Toners thing. There was, for a while, we were doing gigs where Kill City was headlining, being supported by the Paddingtons and the Cribs, and I used to turn up to them gigs like this. Oh my God. Can't fucking believe that we're being supported. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is this going on? And then so we used to like follow you around the country.
With Johnny Ray.
York, I think. And then we were down the motorway, had a piss stop, and I jumped into your the right man.
The right van, yeah, the drug. The
And I jumped in, and you sat round
The
playing
drug bus.
FIFA, and there's like Lemonhead's lyrics written on the wall of your bus everywhere, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm home. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, we loved you though. We looked up to you because we knew you was older. You player. You could fucking play guitar. Do you know what I mean? You was embedded in that scene. We loved it. And then you like sat there fucking like, well, what you into? We'd play what we're into, but then you pull all these fucking Big Brother fucking bands out like whatever Sebador and all that. We loved it.
yeah.
Fucking loved it. And do you know what? It all stems from that. We was on about in the last podcast that them tours, them early tours. There was Harry, you interviewed Guy, didn't you? The photographer who lives in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he posted Guy on his Instagram a set of pictures from the Oxford Zodiac, and it was 3 pictures, and it was like the 5 O'Clock Heroes, Stuey, you're there, but you're there with Welsh Pete and Lisa through Kill City. Marv, you're with us, and it's this fucking amazing pictures, like the Last Supper, the end of Rome or something. Everyone's just, it's brilliant. But they were the
that recently.
Yeah, have a look. It was a couple of months ago, and that was the night when we was sound checking. Welsh Pete turned up, and when we were singing Yarmouth Town, he was like walking around town with my trousers down, with his fucking trousers down. And he turned up, and I won't say what he said, but it was something to do with Tic Tacs and like fucking that.
Yeah,
Johnny Ray's. I mean, that's how we got to know you, and it was fucking brilliant.
So Marv, I read the NME article, and he said at the time he didn't know how long you'd be out for. Like, how long did you spend out of the band?
I think I was okay after a couple of months. Like, it was my strumming hand, and I got in a lot of shit because when I was tagging along on the tour, I had this like thing, like this kind of like spoon like guard on, and I could still hold a pick, so I was playing the guitar like then, and I was like, oh, I can still do it, lads, I can still do it. No, you can't. It's like wearing a boxing glove, but it didn't take too long before.
It was about a tour, Marv.
Yeah,
Tom, it was a tour. It was a tour, and you was back.
Yeah, I remember the first gig that I didn't play after that. You was opening for the Bravery, I think, at Brixton.
So that'd have been late 2005, I guess.
I think it was probably about 2, maybe 3 months.
Well, it can't be that long. But do you know why it can't be that long? Because between 2005 and 2006, we did fucking hundreds of gigs. I bet it was a tour and a bit.
Yeah, it was a tour, because after that tour, you went away and wrote You and I, and then you played. I think you played You and I for the first time at that opening for the Bravery.
Yeah, fair.
And I was like, oh shit, they got new songs.
Yeah, You and I trying to do that Stroke song. I don't want to waste no time, but like not as good.
Marv, yeah, a quote from you in the NME article was saying, after all the crazy shit we got up to, something was bound to catch up with us. Is that kind of how you reconciled it at the time?
Well, maybe. I think maybe probably just for myself. I mean, there was a lot of things going on. Mine's my own, and I was probably the person in the band who was maybe like the most unstable. But I mean, I won't like to say it on here, but Tom and Lloyd were doing some pretty bad shit. That was quite high risk, shall we say. Let's say maybe the Cribs wrote a song about it, and if you're a Brandy fan, then you might you might understand the things that were going on at the time. Mine were, and also we had like this massive, real cool thing. Like we didn't give a fuck. Like, we're doing our job, enjoying it, but the job is based around just absolute annihilation. And like we would always, me and Tom especially, would always be it was a bit of one-upmanship maybe. If Tom had, if Tom put a fag out on his hand, I'd probably go and buy a cigar from the shop and come back and ceremoniously light it to put it out on my hand. So like the things
that when you pierce your own nipples and that. But
Yeah,
I was like, fuck that, man. You fucking
yeah, I know, because you're a fan of Lloyd. You didn't even get a tattoo, did you? But
that's true. Sorry.
But it was like the beauty of the time. It's nice to live your life where you can literally be like, how mad can it get? And it was just because we was enjoying like this massive like snowball of a ride. Things were exploding. We could go anywhere. We could do anything. Like you wake up and you're like, where am I today? Oh, I'm here.
You didn't have to pay for cigs.
Yeah. And just having everything on tap constantly, and being able to not be afraid, like no fear, and enjoying, people getting off on your shit, like turning up for gigs. People want to come to mosh. They want to smash each other up. Like they want a release, and if you're delivering that release, like you get caught up in it as well. Like I've probably a track history of being quite self-destructive, so these are just the things. It just happened to be me, and it usually is. But I will always take a hit for the team, boys.
So did your mentality change when it came back to the band then, or was it just like it's all par for the course, picked up where it left off kind of thing?
I think I picked up where I left off, but I thought I was death proof, so things got worse after that.
I was going to say, I think it actually got worse. Didn't
it? It really did.
Then we jump out of a window when you came.
Yeah, no, right.
So that's when you had an argument with that. What the
Hayseed Dixie, right? And that's a good example because, right, Tom, you jumped out the window and I didn't, because that was when, like, you was like, right, I'm off out this window. You jumped out of it, and I was like, I've tested my mortality enough, like, in the last year, so I got
we need some context. So I guess we shared the same hotel as this band, Hayseed Dixie, bluegrass band who play
AC/DC,
and there was in the mid-noughties. It was on all the festival scene.
Yeah, I remember the name.
Didn't you have a bit of an argument about?
Tom will tell this one.
The Fifth Amendment.
Guns
are for
I actually don't think I can tell it, but did we end up did we end up in their hotel room or something, Mark?
It was in Bristol.
Right. What happened was we were
about
guns, wasn't it?
Yeah, we bumped into him in the bar in a hotel, and we were chatting and hanging out, and we're like, "Oh, we know you," and they're like, "Oh, we've heard of you," and we was having some drinks and stuff. And then
I bet they hadn't heard of us at all.
Turned real. No, probably not.
Yeah,
theirs might have been Grace. Well, I mean, but to say we knew them was like saying that, like, I don't know, like, some fucking novelty act or whatever. But but then they turned like proper redneck, and they were talking about guns and this and full on like Republican, like mad redneck shit. Were they even American? Like,
I don't know.
Might be English. Whatever it was, basically.
Well, we have guns where everyone and their mums are packing in the countryside. No.
But,
delete that.
Yeah, so they're on about guns and this, that, and the other, and Tom was like, "Mate, guns are for pussies," and started having this argument.
That was it. Guns.
Yeah, and
maybe that's what
we was like. We was on the second floor. Tom was watching him out the window, and Tom opens the window, and he's like, just fucking giving it loads. And they're going, "Oh yeah," and like thinking, "Oh, you're up in your hotel room," and then literally Tom just went, "Right, we're off." He fucking, well, I said dived, jumped through the window to turn around because he had to like drop. And I'm looking out the window. I'm like, right, I've got to go with him. I'm not jumping.
I'm not going with him.
Running across the car park, they're fucking scattering. Like someone set like a vicious cat on them or something. Like, so they're moving away, and Tom's going, like, turning around thinking I'm going to be right behind him, and I'm like strolling down the hotel corridor to go and press the lift. Like, like outside, it's like Tom like, "Fucking come on, you find it," and I'm like, like listening to the music in the lift on the way down. And I come outside. Hello, Tom. How did the ruckus go?
You mentioned the fashion stuff, and obviously you ended up playing like Hedy Slimaine's birthday with Pete Doherty and all that. Like, where did all that kind of originate?
He was just he was a fan, I guess. He was a fan of the scene, and I guess us looking like skinny little crackheads. That was his thing, wasn't it? And probably fancied us a little bit as well. I don't know.
Yeah. What was that book, Tom?
Pause meant that you just reviewed your sentence that you was going to say then, didn't you, Tom?
Yeah, he did. We talked about it a couple of days ago, me and Tom. What was that book called? The photo.
Yeah, the birth of a cult.
That was it, yeah, and that was like a book that documented the grot and roll side of the early noughties indie scene. So there was Docky in there, a load of pictures of Tom. It's like a really big it was cool, real fucking cool photos. And I guess he did that as a bit of a side thing, but it influenced his I don't know, his design work and stuff, which led to Tom getting suits that fit him, and then suits that didn't fit Grant at all, or me for that matter. But you're in that world a little bit, and you start getting fucking paid for some big old fucking gigs. Like that one in Milan where it was a fucking nightmare. Do you remember that one in Milan where it was on them fucking that Grant was on that drum riser and they put all the smoke on him? It just stuck round him, and he's kicking off. And what it was,
it was like for Diesel, wasn't it?
I don't know. That was a different one. That's when Finlay Quayle was there. I remember that was a different one. Well, no, that was where Marquis Smith threw a lighter on stage to the lead singer of Gang of Four, pinged him on the head. I'm more fucking new wave than you. No, it was that. The one in Milan was. Aggie was there. She was modelling when she was going out with Josh. I think there was a bit of a connection.
Yeah, do you know what as well? Do you know Tom O'Campbell, who like married to Lou's sister now? He was actually a model there as well.
That night.
Weird.
Yeah. It was weird because it was like the stage was set up not for a gig. It was set up for because it was on telly and stuff in Italy. It was set up for TV. So like Grant drum riser was right in the corner over there. I was in the end. There was trying to dress us and all that lot. And we were just being. We liked the fashion stuff because it gives us attention. We got dressed. It was pretty cool. We got to go to Paris, Milan, all them for it. But we also fought against it quite a lot. It was like almost like, it was plastic and fake. And the stage manager's going, well, I'm like, why's the drummer over there? And he's like, well, it'll look good. I was like, well, it's not a gig, is it? We're here to make the scene or whatever, this fucking fashion thing look cool. Bollocks. Grant kicked the drum kit over and all the stage crew was chasing us into the dressing room, and David had to fight him off.
I think a bit of that thing is like where you're part of like a new style, which then gets ripped off, and then you start turning up for gigs, and then stylists are coming over going, "Oh, you're going to wear this today." It's like, right, this is what you've made of what we was wearing like a year ago. So
do you remember that photo shoot you did where we all got changed? It was with Roger Sargent, and you didn't change your clothes throughout any of it. So there's all these ace pictures of us, and there's one point where I've got like a fucking jumper on, and then we've got a tie on, and all this stuff, and then but you just stood there with a fucking hole in your jacket all the way through it.
Yeah, but that was the thing. Like, and when we used to
smelling really nice.
You used to stink.
But they'd be like, "Oh right, you're going to be in fucking Vogue or whatever you're doing," and they need to hang clothes off you. So, because you're meant to like advertise the clothes or whatever, whilst advertising yourself. And I quite often would be like, I don't like any of this shit. So they just make up what it was on the page because they couldn't put like model's own. So they just like make up like some fucking fake bullshit to say where your stuff came from. The only time you'd really want to put if they gave you something like, oh, that's good, I'll put it on, then you would. But most of the time it's quite shite. And if you was going to put it on, you'd try and steal it.
Remember when you took them fucking patent leather shoes and they rang us up, there was about 800 quid worth of shoes. Bring those fucking shoes back.
Oh, no, the best one is I've got a Burberry Peacoat. It was a sample. It costs £1,500 to £2,000 for these coats. I stole the only sample. Because it was Aggie's birthday, and she had that big party at Coco.
Yeah, fucking I forgot about that.
And they were like, "Oh, everyone gets to wear." And we had a gig in London on the same day, I think. And they were like, "Oh, everyone gets to wear some Burberry." So I just banged this coat on. Didn't really like it at the time. Banged it on, kept it, took it home, and then they rang me up and said, "Can we have it back?" And Josh was particularly like, "Marv, you got to give this coat back." And I was like, "Oh, I've lost it." it's my pride and joy now. It's still the most expensive coat that I've ever not bought.
But Stuart, you involved, like you say, you used to have a clothes shop at that time and everything. Obviously, like fashion was a big part of that scene back then.
Yeah, it was weird because like
Stuey was the coolest one.
thanks, man. I mean, a lot of it came out of the army shop. We were just saying that before. Like, it was interesting, that whole fashion at that time, because like everyone was making their own. As far as I can remember, everyone was sewing up their own jeans to make them skinny, which is before they started like manufacturing them or whatever. But it wasn't too long before people started doing that. So they, like Marv said, it was like weird because it all happened so quickly, didn't it? And I suppose that's what happened with the Sex Pistols in a way. Is they lasted a year because it all just exploded into the mainstream or whatever. And as far as I remember, I think All Saints were like one of the main companies who were like taking fashion from that indie scene, really booking the bands to go and play in stores and all these shows or whatever. And then, as Marv was saying, that was so interesting because I never thought about it like that. But then replanting their fashion take on your DIY. So like, you know, we was wearing, you know, RAF Max from the army shop for a tenner and these stitched up jeans, and like I was wearing African wedding shoes because you could get them off the market for £5 with the sole flapping covered in gaffer tape and that. And it was like a DIY fashion, wasn't it? And at the time I never really related it to, I guess, kind of what they did in the late 70s, but I guess there's sort of parallels there somewhere. Because before that, I mean, if you wind back to you, I didn't have the misfortune of like going through the indie wilderness that was like the late 90s.
Oh, here we go.
Come
on, Daddy.
Hey, no, Stuey, I did the Star Sailor and all that nonsense.
Yeah, it was.
I was there for it, but I wasn't like musically competent. So
anyway, sorry, Stu, to derail.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Stu. Go on.
Just before all that happened, it was the Strokes, wasn't it? Who literally changed everything.
Yeah.
But before, you know, I was in Camden as like I was probably 20, and it was like 1999, 2000. It was like Blur was probably the coolest thing around, but they'd gone real weird with their albums and stuff. I was wearing Levi Twisters and Nike Air Max.
Wear that now, you'd be fucking cool.
And I had like blonde highlights in my hair and all this weird shit was going on. And I at the time I was like, what is going on with everyone?
You must have thought you looked the shit though. Come on.
I mean, I think I was telling myself I looked the shit, but really, like, it was just not the thing. And everyone, and I mean, Boo was wearing the same as well. I mean, we was just wearing these, yeah. But then the Strokes landed, and in a heartbeat changed everything.
Yeah, and we was on about it in the last podcast. She was like, in all, we was the first band to be wearing tight jeans, gaffer tape, fucking leather jackets, and like, but we was on it. We got me. Grant was like, we were finger on the pulse. I was like, we was 3 years behind everybody in fucking London, but in all, we was there. Do you know what I mean? We was like, trying to look exactly like they did it on the fucking, I don't know, Richard L album.
Yeah, but I think also there's like an argument amongst all of this for like authenticity. It's like you can't really just implant this stuff onto yourself, and you whatever's going on sort of fashion wise, it has to like really fit. And I think with you guys, what I remember seeing when I used to come and see your early gigs was like a bunch of 18-year-olds who were like cobbling together their own fashion and who magically made this like crazy good music that was just like explosive, and you couldn't like break it down and study it and make any sense of it, but it was like, you know, it was like an X Factor situation. It was like
the Dead Men's Shoes and that. Do you know what I mean? We used to go into fucking Bernardo's or whatever and literally get a pair of brogues, and was like, some blokes died, let's have his shoes. And
exactly, but not everyone could pull that off, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, there's not a scuff on these. Someone must have just fucking.
But then at the same time, we looked at the record section, and there might have been like a cool lot of records, and was like, these might be his records.
But and also, it's funny that you say that, because like now, vintage clothing, charity shopping, like it's all legit now. Like if you buy something old, if you buy something new, there is like a real a full culture, people who appreciate classic styles. If you wanted to, if you find like, I like a classic like military style coat set. I have 5 of them like on my rail that are all 40 years old. But if you when they choose to bring them back into fashion, they're like, oh, it's military time, and then but they'll have a little twist. They'll have like they do these tassels here and this, that, and the other, and put a little garnish on it. These things don't age well. It's all comes from a very basic, timeless thing, and people mocking you for looking for wearing like charity shop stuff. Like those days are gone. That assimilation of the style and the breadth, everything's repeated, which is like when like what Stu is speaking about, what I highlighted, to say you're doing the thing. Oh, look at this fresh style. Like basically, we all look like we're being dug up, but we could have been at a Pistols gig in the 70s. It'd all been done before, all been done, but no one's ever seen it because no one does the research. And then when they start seeing people down the street, then it starts to get assimilated and utilized or whatever. But the t-shirts that we used to make ourselves with our slogans, then you'd find them in Primark 5 years later with like "Live, Laugh, Love" on them. Like written in marker pen because it's dead edgy and that. Everything's been done. It gets done again, but for us at the time, we were living like, and Stuey saying about the arse end of the 90s, when me and Lloyd were at college, people were the rock bands, the big rock bands. They had a smelly leather jacket on, flares, and like shoes that looked like Cornish pasties or whatever. And that was like the definitive style. And then we turned up and was like, we're going to spend £3 in charity shop. Look like we've been dug up and blow you away.
Yeah, and it was authentic. And I think the thing that was sort of powerful about it was that no one was actually trying to recreate what was done in the late 70s. It felt like it was a fresh start with it. And now you talk, I remember actually, especially with the pads, there was such a strong visual element to it. There was this girl, she was Scottish, called Jane, I think. And anyway, just, and people you meet on tour. But I remember her texting me one Halloween, and she texted a picture of her and her mates, and they'd like gone to this Halloween party as Paddingtons, and they all had like maps on, and they had like the gaffer tape crosses on them. And there was like all these little bits that you put together that actually people really picked up on that. And that story just tickled me actually, because I remember thinking that was really cool.
I'll have that. I remember Josh really fucking went with it though. Like with his, do you remember when he turned up with his yellow tight jeans on and then purple winkle pickers? And in hindsight, he looked the dog's bullet, but he was going, fucking, what are you going about there, mate?
Yellow trousers and purple shoes.
Yeah, because like whatever we'd do, it'd be like, right, what we're doing, right, we're wearing skinny jeans, like we've worn the arse out of them, our shoes have got gaffer tape on, like we've got like all this beautiful gear that's all a bit wrecked, and that's kind of like us at the time, like we're young, we're at it, like we're a bit wrecked, a little bit damaged, and but Josh would do the same thing, but like with this absolute like right, well, if you're doing it in black, I'm doing it in fucking yellow.
Rumors.
It looked like Denver, the last dinosaur or something.
We used to always fight over that one leather jacket though, didn't we? That I think originally you had, Tom. You give it to me, and somehow Tom. Josh got
that brown
and
one.
Is it the one with the writing on it?
Yeah, with the Tipex on it and all that.
Yeah.
That jacket.
And my ski jacket as well, Marv. Remember that?
Yeah. Your first ski jacket, and then the one I bought, and we both wrote all over them.
Yeah,
and it was like when the Strokes had come out. You remember when we were seeing like was it Janelle and Marianne? We used to go see them in Leeds, didn't we? And me and Tom like turned up in Leeds, both wearing red ski jackets done up to here, both wearing like. I didn't have a decent pair of Farrahs, but Tom had a few, so I was wearing Tom's Farrahs.
Farrahs,
yeah, like real nice cut. And we weren't covered in shit or muck or anything. We just both had like real like long greasy hair, pretty much like twinnies. It was like, do you want the blonde one or the fucking brunette? That was the
You
actual.
was a bit of a double act, you two.
With Converse,
Yeah.
and we was walking around Leeds, like going around all the vintage shops and that, and just walking in, and it was like they didn't know the secret what we'd found, and we were like, "Oh, we're sorted here, mate," and he was like, "Yeah, we know."
we must have looked really embarrassing, to be fair.
Well, the thing is, right, at the time it was crucial, but we only dressed like that for about 3 weeks.
I need a piss.
But just one last one on the fashion thing, like it's a bit of a gossip magazine question, but obviously that video of you playing that gig and like Kate Moss knocking about and all that, is that something you just took in your stride at the time, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we even paid too much attention to what was going on. It was just kind of happening.
It really was.
think.
And we went to this fashion show in Paris, centre of Paris, and I remember they played our song when these models were coming up and down the catwalk. Mick Jagger was over there. I remember diving into a barrel of fucking champagne, and Johnny Hopkins had my legs. I was getting the bottom to get these bottles of champagne, like little bottles out, and this guy came up to me and was like, had a go at me in French, and I went, "Je ne comprends pas," which means I don't understand. And he let me off, and then we got hammered all day, went to the gig. I can't remember the gig at all. I remember that video where we were Doherty singing 52 Pound merged with one of our songs, and Kate Moss was, it was all fucking mental. What I remember is the metal bottles of Heineken. Remember that? Was that also the one with the Pet Shop Boys in our tour bus?
Right, didn't we go there twice? Because I have trouble like distinguishing between the two.
Yeah, no, because Stuee came once. Obviously, yes. Stuee, answer this question. Was the Pet Shop Boys with us on the tour bus the time you came to Paris?
No.
So the first time they were, and then we went and played the Water Rats after it, which he was, yeah. So
Didn't we go with the others the first time?
Maybe we went 3 times then.
We shared a tour bus with the others once.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, there's loads of it. There's us on the tour bus with the Pet Shop Boys. There's the thing where it's like Pete and Kate. Did I not go to that one?
I don't know. To be honest, this isn't an informative podcast, really. We're just trying to remember what happened.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, we actually don't know anything.
We don't know.
Right, how many times do we go through this, Tom? Like, we'll sit and go, right, what about this thing? And be like, we've lost the embarrassment of not remembering now.
I think you were there, Marv, because there's a video of you playing 52 Pound live, and Pete comes on to sing it and he can't remember half the words.
Well, no, the story behind that, Harry, is he knew the original version, and then and he, in fact, he liked the original version, which had this like kind of Smithsy little thing going through it, and then that's when, in the last podcast we talked about Owen telling me to write a chorus, which is basically where we changed it to make it a bit more punchy. So when we're playing on stage, he's singing the old fucking version.
Yeah, so it's really sweet. Like, he knows the song, like he's like fanboying for the song, and then we go, but there's also a chorus in here now. Which obviously resulted in like just like loads of like twirling, throwing beer about, and then you go, right, now it's back to the normal bit, Pete. Oh,
and you go. The thing is, we have to bottom the Pet Shop Boys thing though, because that was one of them fashion gigs, and we got them in our tour bus. And in fact, it was the time we went with the others, and the lead singer, what's his name? Neil Tennant, and the other guy is on the bus, and we kept going, sing Western Girl, sing it, and he wouldn't do it, and and about an hour later, out the blue, not prompted, he just started to sing Western Girls. And we was like, get him! And he went, you've looked after us tonight, and we had. Take what you want from that. And then he turned up to the Water Rats gig about a week later and returned the favour.
I listened to, I think it was Shenton's podcast you did, Lloyd, and you were talking about the money aspect of it. And you didn't have a clue really, what you were getting paid or where the money was going. And but you did a gig for 15 grand on the Thames for Relentless or something.
Right. So we did this gig to launch Relentless, which was that fucking energy drink. It was on this barge, and there was all these burlesque dancers. There was these ice sculptures of women with their legs apart, and you poured the vodka and Red Bull and Relentless, and you remember you drank it through the ice sculpture, and there was like there was that.
Yeah, we played on a little stage which was like literally had like 6 inches like clearance, like headroom.
Yeah, right on this barge, and there was a guy from the XFM. What was the guy? The XFM DJ, the main one. He was on it.
Was it Zane Lowe?
No, I want him.
Was it
But either
different
way,
one at the time?
we did this gig. It was like, there's a corporate gig. We're going to get paid this. And I found out later, we got paid 15 grand to do that fucking gig. We played for 20 minutes. And I'm speaking to Ali years after, going, why didn't you tell us we got that money? I think it was probably only me, Marv, Tom, probably Grant. I bet Josh knew though, that we got paid that much. And she went, well, you'd have asked for 5 grand there and then.
No, but my recollection of that then, because that's like new information to me. I was told, because I was like, obviously being an arsehole, but I was like, what? Why we got to do this? Like, fuck this shit. And Ali was like, I think it was Ali who said, was Nathan still managers?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Someone of like upper level authority of the Paddingtons said to me, "Shut the fuck up, Marv. You're getting paid 10 grand."
Oh well, I didn't think it was even getting paid.
Yeah, I heard that it was 10, but I did ask for £2,000.
Did you get
And
it?
I got
Well, where's my money?
Lloyd was doing it for a fucking crate of Fosters.
Oh no.
Well, no, I didn't get 2 grand. I was obviously, because everyone gets paid, don't they? But I was like, I want £1 grand.
I was doing it for
I
exposure.
took £1 in cash. I had it in my. I had £1 grand off the back of doing that gig.
There was loads of gigs like that, but Stuey mentioned the All Saints gigs and these fashion ones. And we didn't know really what was fucking going on. We didn't know at all what was going on.
Can I just put something to you though, right? When you're doing the fashion gigs, it's like hand in hand, isn't it? Like you get some free clothes. Like you want to be. It's not just the publicity. Like people appreciating your style, all that type of thing. But when it came down to the actual, you have to go and do this corporate thing. Even like the second album being sponsored by JD, like that was real difficult for me as a purist. But. And the gigs, the corporate gigs, it was a thing of going like doing that gig for because we're getting on this boat, and as Lloyd says, burlesque dancers, but like ice sculptures, all this type of thing. Like we're not impressed by that. It's obviously like just like a little bougie bullshit thing. And then they go, oh, you're getting this amount of money, but it leaves you. It left me feeling like really sore. I don't give a fuck. Like I just want as long as I can get through the days. I want to play good gigs and just take my pittance and have, if you want drugs, make a drug dealer come on tour with you. You get them for free. You get a rider,
Rob the merch stall.
Yeah, rob the merch stall, like do all that stuff.
So where did the money go? Did Ali make sure?
Straight up your nose.
And move along.
I bought loads of records and that.
No, but I mean, did Ali look after it and kind of divvy it up at some point, or what happened?
No, Ali was the tour manager, so she looked after the tour budgets, and then we had a manager, and we had if I remember rightly though, it was our wages was managed in Hull because I used to have to ring your mum, Tom. Can I get paid?
Mum used to do it, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Yeah, Mel used
and then Nathan said to Mel, stop paying Lloyd. He's had like 4 payments in a week.
We had to blag our own money.
Yeah, we did. You and Ali, you're only robbing off yourselves. Yes, we are. Bugger off.
But when we was showing at Ali going, PDs, like, oh, you're allowed £20 today, and that's like your allowance, like when you're on tour, and then deal with the rest. And I'm not saying this in a bad way at all, because for the hours that she worked, like Simon, Ali, like David, and to us, right, we knew those guys were getting paid like £100 a day, and we were like, "Fucking hell, your job's this!" Like, because we knew that they had like they had to be paid a wage, and on one side it's like, well, you're just tagging along with us and you're getting to tour the world on the back of us, this and the other. But actually what they were doing was like babysitting a bunch of morons. Like they should have been paid thousands of pounds per day for what they were doing. But because our money went into this ether and we never knew what it was, and we was allowed 20 quid a day, we felt like kids, you know. And also the other thing about the money in a band, and with us, it probably isn't the same now, but us being one of the last legitimately signed bands as a contract with an advance, releasing actual physical material. So you get, you know, it's not about streams and this and the other. It was all about hard sales, like all that stuff. With us doing that, we were paying everyone. So the thing, what you get is what you're left with.
We didn't pay Matt College.
But that's the thing. So like Mel was doing our accounts, like Tom's man. Like you pay when Mel didn't want to do it, or when it was just like, oh, we need an actual accountant. You paid an accountant, and we had a lawyer, a full-time lawyer, like working for us. Two managers with.
I ain't gonna go to jail for you or anybody.
Two managers with quite expensive habits. One of them who we never saw. One of them who we never saw. Like how much stuff do you pay for? And then at the end they go, "Here's yours." And you're like,
pretty good.
And they go, "Here's yours," and we go, "Oh, well, that's not bad." Split it 5 ways. 6 ways when Stuee's involved.
Hey, Stuee, did we ever pay you?
Yeah, little bits.
Good.
So if we just skip ahead to Marv leaving the band, which will ask you about Marv at some point. But like Stuee, at that point, was it kind of a no-brainer joining the band again?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to remember how it played out. I guess because there was just a big sort of melange of a scene at the time. Even though I wasn't in the pads anymore, strictly speaking, we was all still floating about in bands and around the whole thing. So it didn't really feel like there was any sort of separation and then reattaching or whatever. But yeah, I do remember there was a certain point where it did become more like full-time for me. Yeah, because there didn't like some. I don't know if I'm picking at scabs here, guys.
No, you are, but it's all right. But not many people know that the band split up for about, I guess, 2 months, and it was and then we started again without Marv, which was fucking out of order. And I'm sorry, mate, but that happened. And then that's when Stu joined the band, and he was the obvious person to join the band because he was our brother.
I think.
But we left our brother behind, and we shouldn't have done. We should have done that, Marv. I'm sorry about that, brother. We shouldn't have done that.
No, right. The thing, I'll just add my 2 penneth. Like whatever, like went on. I wanted to leave anyway, but
did you?
We did. Yeah, I did. Yeah. But we did this Ace tour in Italy, which was, and I was like, do you know what? We're actually we're all right here. And then Tom banged me. Like,
get a massive fight in Venice.
Yeah, like Tom put me under. I had to have surgery. Didn't see the guys for a bit. To be fair, like you guys, for as hard as you are when you're fighting in the street, you're a bunch of fannies because no one actually fucking acknowledged what happened. But water under the bridge. And the thing, like after it all's kind of come around, like I didn't speak to the guys for quite a lot, well, fucking years. You know what I mean? And we met again when Buckshanks invited me to his wedding. He invited the full band, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know whether to invite you." And you know, all you got to do is talk. Shit happens, and that's all right. But with regards to Stuee, being in the pads and picking up like the project, because Lloyd wrote a lot of the first album, and Tom and me and Josh were like there to support that. And then the second album was like a lot more of a mixture. The thing that we're doing after that, I wasn't involved in it, but it was when I was having a mental breakdown when I was 30. I went down to London to see my mate Nicky Brooks, who was staying in a massive like fucking townhouse that she was looking after, and she'd fallen asleep one night, and the only person I wanted to call was Stu, so I rang him up and he was like, I'm at Purple Turtle, come meet me. So I went and met him wearing like this real fluffy like jumper with a proper, I looked like I was having a mental breakdown, which I was, but I went to see Stu and I was like, what was it like then being in the band? And Stu said to me, I was just stepping into your shoes to take care of this thing that you'd taken so much care about. And I have listened to the stuff. And when we got back together, I got to learn a couple of the songs off the
stuff like that.
yeah. Like, and those songs do fucking stand up to me.
Hey, did you ever hear Magic Factory? That was pretty good.
Sure, maybe not, but for Stu to say to me, I was just looking after your baby until you lot sorted your shit out. That meant a shitload to me, and the work that he did and the work that you all did. Not a bad EP, to be fair, but it was just things were kind of over by then. And since letting it all go, for us all to come back and go, we just have all of this like massive time period of a band with all of us involved. Whenever we get out again, we all get back together, and that's fucking crucial. But I appreciate what you did. After I left, what you guys did didn't sound bad. Fucking nice songs. And Stuey, I would always hand it over to you when necessary.
Oh man. You know, it's so odd, really. Like I've always said through the whole ups and downs of it, that the essence of my involvement with the Paddingtons is being like a fan in the most genuine sense. The fact that we all became like such close friends was about all I ever wanted out of music when I was a kid. Like when I picked up a guitar when I was 13, listening to Nirvana, all I ever wanted to be was in a music gang. And it's like, eventually I found that with the Paddingtons. And I always knew that it wasn't mine, but I found what I wanted to find in music, in you guys, and in those tours that we did. And it didn't really matter to me that, I mean, of course, like I was always trying to write my own stuff and doing side projects, and I had the social and I had all this other stuff that actually, like, musically, my baby was elsewhere. But actually what I wanted to find in terms of camaraderie, I found with you guys. And it was like, and it extended to you, Marv, whether you was technically in or out of the band, or whether I was in or out, it was almost like it was sort of transcended to that. And I remember when you came to see me that night in London, I was so like happy that you came to see me, because there was always like this unspoken sort of thing, I guess, because I never really wanted you to think that I was trying to take your place, because it's almost like being someone's stepdad, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You're never going to be the dad or whatever. So it was a delicate situation for me. And then there's even considerations when we did the reunion tours and stuff, because even though I feel like a legitimate and valid part of the Paddington story, for me as a fan, when the reunion thing came around, I was like, you know what, like you're all tight again. I'd quite like to see the Paddingtons reunion as the fan that I originally was. And then I was very flattered that everyone wanted me to be part of that thing. But
you can get fucked, Stu, because you're not going to stand there and watch us play. You have to get on the stage, you lazy ass motherfucker.
I would have been happy with that. And I would have been...
that first reunion thing we did, you came on and played a few songs, and when we did the second one, I remember Marv being on the phone going, fuck it, we'll all do it. We can just fucking all do it. It doesn't matter. Because going back to what you said, Stu, like, yeah, all right. Like you said, you got your own music stuff, but that gang, you were in that gang, and you will be for fucking forever. And it was more like the music, and we loved it.
And actually, I don't think there's certainly not like blowing my own trumpet here in any way. Just because it's bigger than that. But I don't think that I think I was the perfect person to do that in some weird cosmic way.
You had the best shoes.
I had the shoes, dude.
Yeah, you had the shoes. And you like the specials, which is pretty cool. None of us did. Now we do. Well, I do.
And Dinosaur
and Dinosaur Junior.
But when me and Josh, like with our guitar styles and even just like our personalities on stage, we're poles apart. You're real good mates with Josh and real good mates with me, and your guitar style sits perfectly between the two for when we do this thing. And also, our album, as you said, our first album, when you're going, how many guitars are on this? There are 22 guitars on Some Old Girl, and it's 2 guitars. So to have 3 guitars on stage, totally fucking like really fleshes it out, you know.
Yeah, it totally did. Like the guitar, the whole musical part was never like that was always just going to work. You know what I mean? The difficult bit, without getting too soppy about it, was like imagine me joining a band and you've got like you were such a tight band of brothers, but then you're no longer in the picture for whatever reason. The first time by injury, the second time because things shifted away. But no one ever really no one spoke about that. Do you know what I mean? It was like someone died and never spoke about it, and it was I could feel the weight of the loss of your presence, but no one ever did that.
The reason why that is an issue, Stu, is because they started with me and couldn't get rid of me. They always really wanted you, but I'm always going to be about. So this is what we've got to do.
That's not the case.
I don't even like these assholes, you know. Like, I mean, and I know that they don't like me.
Oh, this is like.
It's like therapy, isn't it?
I knew this was going to happen, but
well, we need to get it out.
We do.
I just wanted to make it all like really dry and funny though, because like Stu's making it like so sweet and nice. It's like, come on, like look. There must be something. We've got to dig all the one-liners out of this, haven't we?
One-liners. All right, I'll stop with the soppy stuff. But you know, there's when it comes to this, when it comes to a band of brothers, there is emotion that runs deep, and it was always like palpable. Do you know what I mean? And like, I was very grateful to be able to experience the things that I always wanted to experience through music. Like I wanted to see like people jumping up and down when I was playing guitar, and I want like that whole crazy kind of circus that like surrounds you and like people rocking your tour bus. It was never like an ego thing. It was like just something that I wanted to experience. But I was sad that you know it was at the expense of the original members of a band that I loved, you know. And so that it was really nice that it all came full circle and we did those gigs, and like I think it all just played out sort of beautifully in the end.
We can do more. Like the thing is right now, because we did this reunion, like the couple of things that we've done, the way that it is now, the next time, and I think we'd all like to do something like, I mean, we're so instinctive with it. It's a great week. If us guys are going to do a gig, book a room, rehearse, we all get to fucking hang out. And whenever we do that in the future, we know the lineup is 3 fucking guitars, bass drums, Tommy, and that's
his gold microphone.
and there's no questions about it.
That tour in 2017 or 18, whatever it was, absolutely destroyed me.
I know, it was only 2 weeks as well, wasn't it?
What even that? It was 5 gigs.
Was that
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
which one was that? Was I that one?
Yeah, we did
Leeds, Hull,
Adelphi,
London,
Leeds,
Glasgow.
Glasgow, London.
We did two in Hull, which was the Libertines one and the Adelphi one.
Is this the reunion one you're talking about?
Yeah, because we did the one gig before on the 2014, didn't we? That one gig, but then that one was where we did like a tour.
Yeah, Stuey, he was there like the whole time.
There's a little
write
bit
an album.
Yeah, fuck it, let's do it now.
Hey,
Get the ukuleles out.
Did you look at the stuff what Joy was posting? She found the CD.
Yeah,
Did you do that?
yeah.
Kingswood Reggae and some other. Kingswood Reggae and other nondescript hits.
There was loads on there anyway. Like
There's a lot, wasn't there?
Listen, you've got to tell all these stories, but I've actually got to go.
Yeah, that's right.
I probably won't tell the
It's
other
like the
stories.
most fun I've had in like all year. So
to be honest, Stuart, we need to just do this soon anyway.
Yeah.
Christmas. Well, I'll just have a
I
little
like that.
chat.
I'd like to see Dobbo as well. See how he's
Yeah,
going.
it's good to tell the stories, but we should just do a fucking Zoom call where we could just chat.
I mean, I'm around. I'd love to do a Zoom call. As long as Lloyd, you sing All Alone for me, it's always my favourite.
All alone, you are not knowing, you are not growing.
Yes, you are here.
No, Jane, not sure what happiness means.
Sounds like the one off Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
Enjoy your night, Stewie. Very nice to catch up with you.
I love you all so much. It's so nice to
Love
see
you very much.
See you, Stuart. Love you, brother.
Yeah, speak
Next one,
soon.
Stewie.
Peace, bro.
Lloyd, I heard you talking about the curse of the Paddingtons, which I found quite funny.
All right.
Where basically any band that supported you would end up being number one almost.
Pretty much. Pretty much. So, like, we had The View supported us. Their album went to number one. The Fratellis, which I hate the Fratellis. They're shit, but their music resonated with the public, and they went to number one. Who else? There was
Fratellis. No, not Fratellis.
The Enemy.
The Enemy, which again, they wound me up as well. You know.
I didn't get it. I just
prepackaged band, weren't they?
Yeah, it's like fucking all right, mate.
X Factor indie, wasn't it?
You like the Jam, dear? Fuck off. But The View, I like them more because some of their songs on the first album were literally our songs with better melodies. Like there's one.
I'm better guitaring, to be fair.
Superstar DJ is sorry, but yeah, there was So
then producer as well.
So they come, you play with them, and then 4 weeks later, you'd be like, hang on, what the fuck?
What about the Bravery? Were you supporting them or?
No, it's a different.
We supported.
No,
right.
that was that. In fact, that was good. Them tours was good because we got to play to a different audience. But no, it's the bands who supported us.
Yeah,
and went to number fucking one.
There's that that well-known story about The View kind of forming at one of your gigs, in it, or deciding they wanted to get in a band because of you lot?
There were big Pads fans. They'll admit that. I'm sure they will. Certainly Kyle and
Kieran.
Bass player. Kieran, yeah.
Kieran.
They were. And like Carl's favourite Paddington songs, All Right in the Morning. Like, I remember sat at parties with him around the piano, and he's playing All Right in the Morning on the piano. They were big
It just has to be awkward, though.
Yeah. But so it was. I remember him coming into the dressing room. Certainly Kieran, before The View even existed. It was that Scottish sort of cartel of people who used to knock around with. Do you know what I mean? And but yeah, they were a great rock and roll band.
What was the guitarist called in The View, Lloyd?
And he was my favourite. I can't remember.
Was he called Andy?
No,
I'm not quite sure.
He played a double cutaway Les Paul.
Called Steve.
Yeah, he was. I think.
Steve. Are you sure?
He's called Steve. I swear.
Tom, every time I look at the camera, I keep thinking I'm going to call you Steve.
I just keep wanting to call you what's your mum's name?
Oh, my mum.
No, Marv's mum.
What's my mum's name?
Marv's saying I look like my dad. I'm saying you look like your mum.
Right, my mum doesn't. My mum had a mustache lasered off, mate. So don't be tight about
it. And the drummer was called Mo, wasn't
he? Yeah, he was a right raggy lad. Him. They were raggy lads. That's what I liked about them. There was off a council seat in Dundee. I loved it.
And they also didn't quite know. They didn't quite know how good the songwriting was, or like how good they were, like at their instruments and stuff. It was all really instinctive. Like what we did. They were just like, oh, we've done this.
But Carl was real into like bands like Beautiful South and Fleetwood Mac. He was essentially, by the sounds of it, brought up on the CD collection of his parents. I guess he was a massive fucking like. I remember we sat there in Sean Cairns' house, me and him, Kerry and Carl's bed at the time, and I'm playing him fucking Fleetwood Mac's not cool, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's not Richard Hell and the Voidos. We're listening to Rhiannon, and he wailed it. He was fucking singing away like a fucking legend. He's a great fucking singer and songwriter.
And then if you like, just looking back, what would you say the peak of the band was? Like Tom mentioned, maybe when Panic Attack was in the charts. That might be the peak. But how do you look back on it?
That was the peak. 2005. Panic Attack, £52, and that summer we played Glastonbury, Tea in the Park, Leeds, and Reading, and then a little bit after, the next summer as well. In fact, it was summer 2005 to summer 2006.
Yeah, so
that period.
The peak of a wave. Like I was, I think we was playing at is like Oxford Street. Would it have been 100 Club, something like that? Like we did a sound check. I walked in, finished sound check, walking down the street with a beer in my hand. Walked into what is probably like the biggest like top man.
Definitely told this story.
Marv, you did this one on the last podcast, mate.
Oh yeah, sorry, but yeah, no, but
I was gonna say.
But that's it. When you walk in and see yourself there, then like you fucking done. Apparently done twice.
But that year, 2005, 2006 summer, that's when we was in the NME. That's when we was playing the festivals. That's when we was bumping into fucking musicians that we was into. Like I remember meeting Noel Gallagher, and I remember meeting Terry Hall at Brixton Academy. But at the same time, was within a group of musicians that would, like, the Rakes were doing good, the Cribs were doing good. That was our year, wasn't it, lads? We was never in hull.
Yeah,
it was never in hull.
No. But did you feel it was going to, like, what was your mindset at the time? Was it just not really giving much thought to the future, or were you just thinking this will, I don't know, you kind of just enjoying the ride at that point, not thinking too much about when it's going to stop?
I was.
Exactly.
I'm sure Marv was, and Tom was. Josh was being, I guess, more strategic about it. He was always.
Yeah.
And we used to say.
And I wish I was a little bit, to be honest. But yeah, I was literally on a fucking. We were just. Yeah.
Riding the wave.
Yeah.
And whenever Josh started to be strategic and talking about the next steps and stuff like that, we'd go, what did you just call him? Stop stifling us, Josh. But basically, he was probably right. Well, he was right, but he also is up.
We came from nowhere, managed to cobble together for the first album, like this album. Like the album will stand and speak for itself for what it did for us, like where it stands in like the timeline of music and all that type of shit. The fact that All Right in the Morning got on the album, which is, you know, if it's Carl's favourite song, fair enough. But for us, we literally had to fill an album out. But in the subsequent months after, we had probably 50 songs between us for a second album. We didn't put it together quick enough. We were still touring the first one, and we had a lot going on. But also there was I think a bit of an issue where if we, like now, like the song that you've just released, Tom, is a million miles. You wouldn't have that as a pad song, would you? That's why you had to do it on your own.
No.
The stuff like the music that, if you hear any of my recordings, like I write fucking classical music. You know what I mean? Like I score stuff. Lloyd as like a heavy like folk catalogue. Like Lloyd knows every fucking song in the book. So we all have like this diversity. And if at the time we had not the balls, but because we can't agree, so we didn't have the function to move forward and just change, because there are bands out there who sound exactly like that band, but they become diverse, like you know, Blair, Radiohead.
We never stopped.
Even like bands like the Hives. The Hives sound like the Hives constantly throughout their career, but when we got Frosty in to play organ, and because of the dynamics of the band, like organ was not going to make the band, but we have, like, Frosty is a true musician. We could have done a lot more to diversify what we did. When we went to do the second album, it was Tony Dugan who changed the sound of our album and changed the way that we played. But if we get in a room now, we would be fearless. And at the time, and Grant is part of this as well. Grant, if you say, let's play something like this, Grant will be, you need to drag Grant away from it. You need to drag Lloyd into something. Tom needs to be if Tom's not interested, nothing's happening.
Well, it's fucked.
and me and Josh are always me and Josh will work together on whatever it is. If Tom and Lloyd say we're doing this, me and Josh would go, right, let's fucking create something. But to get 5 little arseholes to agree on a way forward was difficult at the time. We're probably never going to have the luxury to be able to experiment like we had the chance to before. But if we do anything now, we would lay our guards down and things would sound different. And I think the important thing is, at the end of the day, what the fuck do you sound like?
Okay, so one last question without going too much into the second album. There's obviously a lot of songs, like you say, Marv, a lot of songs kicking around before that second album. And I was just interested in songs like Rat Race. Who wrote that song? Was it you, Lloyd?
Yeah, it
Was that about...
It's a very Lloyd song.
Was that about other whole bands, or was it about the scene in general, or what?
I don't remember, because I think it was about like
whatever it is, it's a critique, isn't it?
Yeah, but I remember Rosa wrote a song called "There's a record company man. There's a record company man. He wants to sign your band." And I was in the band with the Seagulls at the time, and I think it was influenced by that. But yeah, it was almost like what we did ourselves. So put the fucking jeans on the leather jackets and all. Like almost, it's like kind of like fucking false. But God, do you know what? Fucking I heard that song for ages. Trying to find out what I'm in. Wait a minute. What's it go like?
Trying to find out why I'm
That was it. You just sang it.
This isn't no rock and roll Rat Race. And if you think like that, you lose. I just always thought it was
this ain't
a good comment on other whole bands, maybe, but I didn't know if that was...
No, but it wasn't about all bands, no.
Right,
I guess it was about us doing them fashion gigs and stuff. I don't know. Maybe it was at the time where we'd done the album, we were about to go to our second album, and we weren't doing quite well. Maybe it'd be.
I think it was like I think
it was that anyway.
Without trying to like get too deep about it, I think it was fucking just holding up a mirror to maybe what you was experiencing.
Yeah, it's quite a good song, you know. There's about 4 versions of that, you know.
I think it might have been on an NME compilation as well. Or something.
No, it was. No, it was.
Oh, was it a sesh compilation? A bit different.
Maybe that. Yeah, very different.
Yeah, the sesh compilations have much more credibility than the NME ones.
But kind of just to sum up all those songs, I mean, we will get into that on the next one, but do you think, like you say, songwriting changed, like Josh got more involved and stuff? Do you think there was a bit of a lost album from that time?
There is an album in between album 1 and album 2, which there was that much material. There was like Broken Man. There was in fact, a couple of
what's it called? Break down the barriers.
Yeah, all that lot.
walls.
Yeah,
Like,
there was our mate Joy Sanford found a CD and put it on our Instagram today. Said, "Do you remember all this?" And there was literally fucking loads of songs. There was 2 or 3 CDs, and there was loads on it. But then we kind of fucking refocused, and out of them, a lot of them songs were written by me. Them songs in between, and only Stand Down, You and I. What else? Punk Rip.
About Gangs
5
was on there.
Gangs was never mine. That was
Gangs
mine.
was Josh's, wasn't it?
And you did the words.
No.
There's about 5 of mine from that went over.
Well, it was yours, wasn't it?
No, Gangs weren't mine. But then you wrote like Heart Song.
No,
and then
Marv.
Josh wrote.
No, Josh wrote the chords. I wrote the lyrics.
Yeah, you did.
Gangs.
For Gangs, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I guess it took that long. And then they started bringing these songs in. In a way, it was like half the album's my songs, the other half is their songs. And in fact, out of their songs, the best song is Tom's song, Heart Song. Fucking brilliant.
But I think the thing that that we will discuss when we do go deeper into doing that second album there's all been on quite different tracks. So for the first one, we all had to like get together because it was like Lloyd and Tom's songwriting, riding on the fucking balls of like Tom's projection, his voice, Lloyd managing to get his head around playing the bass, me and Josh finding our guitar parts, and Grant absolutely being a class act drummer.
Done in
brought us
2
all
weeks.
together.
The second
Yeah,
album was done in. The second album was done in 2 months.
And
Two
the
fucking
second
months.
album was basically a reflection of a load of guys who were not quite on the same page.
Well,
But when you listen to the album, the songs are good, the production is good.
I think it's great.
There's a lot about it, but you know that it's not that purist thing that we did with the first album.
But it's good. It's good, and fucking hell, Sticky Fingers. That's my. I forgot that's even on there.
No, we brought loads out. Like we got good. Like we all played better than we have done. Like the recording, the songs are great, but there wasn't that same coherence and that essential thing. That
Well, there was no sense of urgency. Or we're going into the next podcast here.
Yeah.
This is the when you do the follow on to this one.
Yeah.
That little bit can be like the next week on the Paddingtons podcast. Oh, we didn't really know what was going to do with that second. Well, we weren't quite ready. Oh, I fucking hated that.
Just one last one then. Those in between songs. Did you have a session with the Charlatans or something?
Yeah, we fucking did. So the album, when we did the album with Tony Dugan, before that we went to the Charlatan studio in Chester, I think, and we went down there and we recorded 5 tracks, and we did You and I, Sticky Fingers. In fact, we did You and I, and Rob Skipper from the Holloways came down and played violin. Our friend who passed away, he played on that. We played a cover song, which was like, what was that called? It cost us about 16 fucking grand, and then we didn't even use it. Basically, it cost us fucking load of music. But
Graham Parker,
Graham Parker.
Yeah.
Listen to it now. It's quite good.
Turned up too late.
And we did. What else did we do? And we did Punk Rip.
Right.
And Frosty recorded on that album, and we did it, and we all were fucking happy at all. I mean, but then when we went to, the fucking thing was that, again, money wise, I didn't know that cost us 16 fucking grand.
So where's that coming from? The kitty or the record company?
The kitty, and we had some money coming in at that time from other sources, but I remember Frosty was real happy. There's a Fender Rhodes here. And then Marv's playing some fucking all the Charlatans equipment. We were just using all the Charlatans equipment. To be honest, I used to sleep in my room was Tim Burgess's room, because they had their own little fucking rooms in that fucking studio. You remember? And that's when I found Run Sodomy and the Last by the Pogues. I went, fuck this, man. Eventually, I'm going to be in a fucking folk band. Sorted out again, didn't it?
Is that where it happened?
I remember. Do you remember though?
Like when you found Jesus.
I was quite pissed at that time, drinking a load of Absolute Vodka. I remember running them stairs and hitting my head on the fucking roof. Remember? Nearly knocked myself out.
Yeah, they had to get surveyors in after your edit that, Lloyd.
Yeah, the building was fine.